All right. We are live. Lo and behold, you're all brainwashed. What's up, guys? All right. So this stream, I'm going to do basically a continuation of the previous stream I did, which was last Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly, but so if I go right into the stream and the talking points kind of seem like they're left off from something else, that's why. You might want to go back and watch that one, but you don't have to necessarily. I think this one probably will be a little bit juicier anyway. Kyle W says, "Sir, am I brainwashed? Asking for a friend." Perhaps. I think we're all possibly brainwashed a little bit here, my friends. The news says a tech recession is over. All right, let's look at that article real quick because I saw somebody post that in the group chat. So real quick, let's do that. Let's take a look at that. All right. Tech recession is over. And you know what else, Kyle? I should post the picture that Betty just put in the chat too of the application, the newest applicant. Hold on a second, guys. All right. Yes. Harry Zico's in the house. Is this real? Is this live even real? Been a while since I caught a live stream. Yeah, my dude, it is real. I just started streaming again about a week ago. Good to see you, Harry. All right, so the tech job recession is over, and look at that. We got our favorite reptilian right there, clapping for everybody. Dude, you know what this picture reminds me of? I think I removed it. Oh no, I didn't, guys. This is what this picture reminds me of.
Vitalik, clapping. Vitalik, impressed. Happy and clapping. Vitalik is impressed. And
do you guys think Vitalik would be impressed at this article? I don't know. Let's find out. Layoffs in the tech have slowed down to trickle over the past few months. Bernstein tech analysts found tech companies laid off more than 300,000 employees in the first half of 2023. Bernstein tech analysts have been tracking monthly job cuts across the country this week. The analysts officially ended their updates. Guys, I don't remember where I read this. This was literally a night or 2 nights ago. Wages have actually gone down in all major metropolitan areas in the United States in the last year. Wages have actually gone down. So wagey, better get back in that cagey. Tech analyst in Bernstein, blah, blah, blah. The final update from Monday showed approximately, it looks like 5,000 tech job cut off so far in August based on data from blah, 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 blah.io. They got the IO. It must be a good tech website. If the trend continues at the same rate, there should be about 11,000 layoffs. Are they saying there should be about 11,000 layoffs left, or what? That's well below the number of layoffs in the first 6 months of this year. Blah, blah, blah. Well, and this looks like a similar chart to kind of the chart that we were looking at like 2 weeks ago, guys, whenever I did that last stream about the jobs number. Harry Zika says wages go down in real terms, not nominal terms. That's when you see rents fall. And yeah, that's the thing, right? Because we still have very, very good point, Harry, because it not nominal terms. For that to be the case, we'd have to see rent rates fall. I have yet to see that yet. At least like a noticeable drop. I know in Miami, rents have gone down, and I know people have moved out. But I'm a venture to say that the majority of the people that were here were just here when the money was flowing anyway, and it was unsustainable. And Harry, you and I both know. Like I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say like 90% of people in Miami don't have normal jobs. They're like sugar babies, OnlyFans girls, scam artists, or like you pick your flavor, right? So I think since the money is less flowing, those people have moved out of cities like Miami, and thus that has caused not really so much the rent rates to drop in like areas like Miami, but less people are having to fight and pay like $2,000-$3,000 over like asking price for rent, like for like a crappy one studio apartment like they were like a year ago, right? Cody Moose says, I've seen pretty high mid to senior infra positions higher than when I was looking for a year or so ago. About a week ago. I don't know where the statistic came from, Cody. I don't know. It most certainly, I'll tell you this, it most certainly wasn't like industry specific. It was just like in general. Harry with the LOL. Yup. You know it. You fucking know it. So yeah, guys, I mean, this looks like this isn't like think OpenAI and generative AI boom for limiting the carnage here. Haha. Honk honk. I want to honk my nose for that. Meta shed about 25% of its workforce. Okay, so we already know this. All right. So the job recession is over apparently in the tech industry. Except guys, until if you guys remember, let me oh geez. Let me download this image, Betty. Let me show this to the people. So I don't have to like dox the entire oh good grief. Hold on, guys. I'm trying not to dox all my people in my group over here. Save as. Yeah, we're going to save it as a JPEG to the desktop. All right, let's do that. All right, let's do that. So if you guys saw, I even made a short. I think the last short I made was on this topic. I think this one, guys, this image I have right here is the most egregious of all. Even beating anything in that short. Let me just show it to you guys. So here's one posted for someone in the group today. Oh boy. For a junior front-end developer from 40 to 70K. What? I mean, okay, I guess if you're a junior developer, I mean, guys, I'll put it to you guys like this. When I was a junior developer, when I was a junior engineer, in bumfuck Mississippi, I was making more than 40K. So I guess if you were in a place even cheaper than bumfuck Mississippi, then this would be, I mean, it's remote. So, okay, maybe it's about the same as like 50K a year, whatever. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We have this thing was posted 10 hours ago and it has 3,176 applicants. I think we need to get those people up in the like in the Doom arena and have them fight like this. Kyle, am I gonna get a copyright for this? What I'm about to do here? Tell me after.
My soul remains guarded. You can't.
They're gonna have to like duke it out like that. Holy shit, man! This is offensive. This is egregious. But I'm willing to bet also that maybe probably like 95% of the people on this from this app are not necessarily good candidates. Harry says, and guess who was proven right? New York City rental market is in a crisis of no supply. I'm not super surprised to hear that. Come back to the office orders are secret layoffs which led to employees quitting instead of getting fired. Yeah, I think so. I think that was like that's kind of like a big like that's a big part of it because no severance pay either. Of course, they're going to know that people that are going to have to go back to the office weren't going to go, right? I mean, I wasn't going to do that. Sheesh. Facts from Cody Moose and the Who's. Yeah, of course. That's why we got people like fighting hand and tooth over this like really mediocre junior developer position here. It's a front end position too. I guess because it's remote. I'm not too sure. We'll just toss that in the back, forget about it, save it for later. All right, guys. So back on to the topic. The topic at hand. So if I recall correctly, the last thing I left off on the previous stream about the degradation of modern society was I got to like the dating portion of it, right? And we discussed the like the women's delusion calculator and how like a majority of partners that women are seeking in modern times, like they're seeking men primarily in all like if the specifics were taken into account, let's just say they're not just looking for a guy that makes over $100,000 a year, so 6 figures. That alone is going to bring somebody in the top like 10 to 15%. Well, both men and women will be in the top 50%. So it's probably going to be sub 10. That alone, if you're looking for, is a top 10. You're looking for someone who's the top 10% of earners. If you add anything else, like, is he not obese? Is he not married? Is he a specific race? Is he a specific height? Does he have a specific size phallus? That actually wasn't taken into consideration, but I think if we were to include that, that would probably also be knocking the numbers down even further. Putting myself on the back for that call. Yeah. Yes, sir. Good evening, Christian Soto. A front end explains it all. I mean, I think that's probably one of the easier positions to get into, right? So I think that might also play into part as to why there's so many applicants on that. Back to what I was talking about, guys. Excuse me here. So that was the last thing we discussed. And before I end the discussion of dating, I saw an interesting clip today. This is about like 8 minutes. We're gonna watch this together, guys, because I want you guys to see this opinion from a woman, not a man. And some of you guys might know this. This is Pearl.
So the next,
actually, let me make sure I'm sharing this. I gotta make sure I'm sharing this with sound. Oh yeah, it was. Duh.
you guys know I get so many stories from Twitter, right? And I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and I saw the average cost of wedding by state. And I really wanted to point out how it's interesting how the cost of weddings go up more and more, but the length of marriages go down more and more. And it's so interesting because it's like the less value brides bring. Like we've talked about this. We don't bring purity anymore. We don't bring youth. Most women are not taught to be submissive. So it's like, what do brides really bring nowadays? Not much. Unfortunately, guys, I don't say this with like a happy heart. You know, we got to be honest with ourselves. So the less and less brides bring to the table, it seems like the cost of weddings go up and up. And there's actually been studies that have come out saying that the more the wedding costs, the less likely it is to last. And the funny thing is Hollywood, you know, every media company ever has just sold that you're supposed to have this one perfect day. That I think women think more about the wedding and less about the marriage. And it's so funny. It just seems like women just want a wedding for Instagram without a marriage. Like you can go to the courthouse and get married for like $50.
For real.
Yeah, let's go through the average cost by state. So I'm from Chicago, so we'll start there. Average cost of wedding in the USA by state. So Illinois, $37,000. Okay. California, almost $100K, $77,000 on a wedding. New York, $46,000. And guys, the way my mind works, you could just go to a courthouse, get married for $50. That's like a down payment on a house. You could go on you could like tour Europe with that money. But it really shows like the values we have in society where it's like, we don't care about the marriage. We care about the wedding.
Let me stop her right there. All right. So like, I don't want to make this just about like men versus women here. Since most of my viewers are men, let's talk about this part of it, guys. A lot of what she's saying is right. Like, for me to want to spend 50 grand on a wedding, like dude, like I'm going to say 100%, 98.95 of girls in, at least in the city that I'm in, are not even worth spending $50 on a majority of the time. Okay. Like, unless you're keeping it, unless you're of the mindset that I'm just going to go into this being completely transactional, then sure. Cause that's all things are for the most part, not all, but for the most part. If I'm going to spend 50 grand on a wedding, like I better know, I better have like data access entry into that girl's brain and her memories and everything that she's done. Because like statistics show, like if you're a woman and if you've had more than 5 partners in your life, sexual partners, then you're at like an 80% increase of getting a divorce. it is what it is. Numbers don't lie, and it just is what it is. Coincidentally, it happens to not be the case for men, although I do think that men also can psychologically suffer from having lots of partners. I do think that's the case, but that alone, it's like 50 grand. Guys, fuck just the 50 grand. You got to think about, like, what if you end up having kids? This girl leaves, and all the trauma and bullshit that's brought in during the relationship, and then upon leaving, you got to pay alimony, you got to give child support, you got to give 50% of the house right there. I mean, all of it. Honestly, it makes no sense to me. It doesn't seem advantageous at all. In fact, it seems the exact opposite of advantageous. It seems like you're kind of like rigging yourself for a bad deal if you're a guy, and you're signing a contract with the government and another person who's supposed to be your life partner, right? So that alone just seems a little like nonsensical and illogical, right? Harry says, you guys even know that so many idiots in the United States taking debt and wedding loans to finance is overpriced party. Yeah. It is 50K is half of MK4 Super. Yeah. I'd rather spend that money on that. At least the Super isn't going to cause you a bunch of problems, and if it does, you can actually fix it, because there's a lot of girls out here that just can't be fixed or saved. So, needless to say.
And you'll see stories of like previous generations, like 1, 2, 3 generations ago, where they knew each other for 3 months and they got married. But it's like we keep raising the price for men on commitment. Guys used to date a chick for 3 months and get married. Can you imagine a man doing that nowadays? Like, can you imagine that? That sounds unheard of. So now it's like, okay, he's got the risk of losing half his stuff. All right. He's got the risk of losing his children. He's got the risk of getting falsely accused of a crime. He's got the risk of finding out later that his wife has slept with 1 million people. And now he has the cost of spending in some states up to $100,000. I want to see, what is the cheapest state? And it looks like the cheapest state is Wyoming. It would be really interesting to see if Wyoming had longer marriage rates than other states, and if I'd imagine, since they've said the more people spend on weddings, the less their marriage lasts. But it'd just be interesting to see if Wyoming had a super low divorce rate. But
I wonder.
These are the trends I see in society. It's becoming more materialistic. And it's so funny because I hear women say again and again and again they can't afford children, yet they find a way to afford a $50,000 wedding, a $20,000 wedding. And it's becoming, even though marriage really is a way for people to basically have generational wealth, right? If people get married and stay married, that's a way to have generational wealth. But it's so interesting, because I was thinking about how in society, we really have a society where men are slaving away for women.
Marriage now seems like it's a great way to transfer generational wealth, if you know what I mean.
Because what happens is men pay over $100,000 more in tax in their lifetime than women. So men are essentially working their lives to give money to women. And, I don't think in history that's always been a bad thing. Because typically, in exchange for this, they would get purity. They would get youth. They would get kids. 200 years ago, each woman had 7 children. Yet, in modern times, I don't even think we have 3 kids. We're not even having enough kids to replace the parents and then a third child.
That is true. That's true.
We're getting married around, I think it's in some countries, it's literally at 35. Like, I was in Ireland last year, and I think
bruh, if you marry a 35-year-old girl, I'm sorry, but you're going to have, hold on. If you marry someone who's 35 and your intention is to have children, well, Pearl, let me get you out of the way. Let me get you out of the way here. This is probably what you're going to actually end up getting. And so this is going to result in you having probably no children. But anyway, sorry, Miss Pearl. Let me bring you back on.
marriage date. And this is the society we're in. So, and I realize too that I think we have a society of basically whores, kings, and lonely men, because most of the women are sleeping with the top 10, 20% of men, and the bottom 80% of men are just lonely. And it's really interesting because the average men are the ones running society. The 45, 55, $60,000 a year jobs, the bus drivers, the plumbers, the electricians, the construction workers, a lot of average salaried men, the coal miners, really run society. But yet, what do they get in return these days for running society? They used to get a wife and kids, but we keep seeing the number of sexless men just rising and rising. And then you see the number of men addicted to porn rising and rising. And even if they do get married, a lot of wives don't choose to stay. So one example of, again, the common trend of women never being happy is Larissa Pippen. Larissa Pippen was married to a superstar. She had her bills taken care of the rest of her life. Yet, what did she do? She decided to divorce her husband. She decided to post super provocative pictures on Instagram. And now she's dating a guy 17 years younger than her that was friends with her son. So Michael Jordan's son, Marcus Jordan, reveals that him and Larissa Pippen are now planning their wedding. So guys, look at the woman on the left. She's got these claw fingernails. She's in a bikini, right? No shirt on. Clearly a bunch of Botox, plastic surgery. These women, it's so funny because you can't even tell the difference between wives and mothers and single women. They look exactly the same. And this is a woman that was married to the top, 1% of men. And I think that's really frustrating to the average guy, because it's like, if these women can't be happy married to the top 10, 20% of men, what will make them happy? And then I also see a common trend of the men saying, well, just find a good woman. And I really think the new standard, again, for a wife really should be a virgin. If there's an 80% chance of a happy marriage, if the chick's a virgin, I really think men should hold out and start demanding virgins. But it's really only going to happen if the top men, do it. And we do see a trend of men walking away from marriage. I mean, but however, there are predatory women that go after younger men, and you're going to keep seeing this trend. And you really, you see this trend of older women going after younger guys that really haven't been through the ringer yet and don't know better. So we're going to see some of the comments. Let's see how Twitter's reacting to this. She was 17 when he was born. They got, this is crazy. And it's so funny because women will big up other women that date younger. But when a guy dates younger, he's predatory. He just wants he's manipulative. When really, guys, when men date,
yeah, powdered eggs for sure. Christian Soda says there's a lot of kids now with disabilities because their mother was over 30. Yeah, I think there's other reasons for that too. But I think having children at the age of 30 or over, I think you are. What are the stats on that? Let's query this real quick. All right, babies born to older mothers have a higher risk of certain chromosome conditions such as Down syndrome. The risk of pregnancy of loss is higher. The risk of miscarriage and stillbirth increases with age. This may be because of pre-existing medical conditions, because of the chromosome condition of the baby. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, you're at a risk for complication from twins, high blood pressure, gestational diabetes, and difficult labors. Gestational diabetes. I'm guessing that means. I know you guys didn't see the screen because I didn't share. I'm guessing that means that the children are going to have diabetes. I'm not sure. Cody Moose in the Hoos. The consequences of the Kardashian have been disastrous for the female gender. Yeah, but I think you're a millennial, Cody. I think our generation, the next 10, dude, honestly, probably the next 5 years, but 10, 20, 30 years later, we're going to see we are going to see all those disastrous consequences brought to full fruition. I believe Harry of Zico says 35 and over is geriatric pregnancy. I mean, another thing too, like, I can say this, like, so I recently went out on a date with a girl who's 22, and that was the youngest girl I've dated in a long time. I was like, this is going to be like weird. It's going to have nothing in common with this girl. And I didn't. But the good point to that was didn't need to. It was still, it was actually great. And I don't know this girl very much yet, but I can tell you this. It seems to me that, like, at least this particular girl, she was 22 and not like 32, right? So, like, there was 10 years less of like trauma being induced into this girl. Because most relationships now never last. And I think a lot of girls carry that trauma with them after like every like tumultuous breakup that happens, which it's inevitable these days, right? So that alone, other than just the pregnancy, like if you're a guy and you're dating a younger woman, chances are, and I can't put numbers on this, right? But I'm willing to bet if we could formulate this into numbers, I'm willing to bet that you could probably prove, statistically speaking, a majority of less aged women contain less trauma with them, and therefore making them better quality people, not just to be in a relationship with, but to just be around in general, right? Betty says, no, that means the mom has diabetes during pregnancy. How does that even happen? So do they not have it before they're pregnant, and then they get pregnant and they develop diabetes? Is the kid like sucking all the is the kid like putting all the blood sugar back in her body or something? Harry says, however, in all fairness, technology medicine out there has greatly improved on this. This may be a few years to added fertility. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stuff that you can do. As someone who used to be a competitive bodybuilder, I know plenty of people who like were like quote unquote shut down, i.e. their nuts never worked, and they take all these drugs and go all this like protocols to like have children. They end up having like twins and triplets and shit. So that is true. They still have to have the will to live in their eyes at their age at 22. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So I think that's enough on the dating part, guys, because this is just, do I need to say any more? I mean, I think most of you guys already know more and more people. I remember, guys, we can't say this word here. We can't say this because did you guys hear what happened to fucking to Fresh and Fit? They got demonetized. Can't even accept super chats, which is weird. I'm soon to be able to get super chats, guys. Who's going to be the first person to donate 99 cents to the channel whenever it comes? I have like 1,000 more watch hours than you guys. After the stream, go on every single machine you guys have and put on random videos from the tech chief and just watch them on loop so we can get that timer up. But they got demonetized. So I won't say this, but most of you guys, I know you guys are familiar with like the Crimson Capsule, right? It's kind of like mainstream now. And like the Zoomer dudes, I know some Zoomer dudes, some young Zoomies, one in particular who's literally about to pack up his shit and move over to a very cold country because he met a woman over there who actually is like pretty good quality compared to the type of woman over here, right? And another thing too, I've dated Eastern European women. I've dated Russian girls, Belarusian girls. They're all very, very, very much more pleasant to be around. They seem a little bit more like tradition and less like modernized, if you know what I mean. So this isn't anything new, guys. Most of you guys already know this kind of stuff. And I really don't think I need to say like that much more about it. I think we can indeed get on to the next topic here. But he says, yeah, they develop it during pregnancy, but don't necessarily have it before. My sister had it, and then once she had it, and so it's gone after that. That's crazy. My sister had gestational diabetes. Everything turned out fine with her second son. She had him at like she was 36. Don't worry. The Doomslayer will save us. I got to do it again now, dude. I got to do it again.
My soul remains guarded. You can't.
Rip and tear. Rip and tear. All right. So that's enough of dating. And the first topic from the previous stream, the family topic, that coincides with it as well. Okay, it's kind of synonymous because what is the purpose of dating? Well, modern times, the purpose of dating is completely different. It seems like it's just usury, people using each other, right? But purpose dating is really to have a family, and so that coincides. Yes, rip and tear until it's just done. I'm gonna have to borrow your computer to test that out, Kyle. Now, what's next, guys? Next is career. All right, and I think a lot of us have seen, if not directly involved themselves, have seen somebody have to deal with some kind of like surprising, having their beliefs be challenged with their jobs or their career in the last three years or so. Whenever that that thing that was going around the in the air and all that stuff. I think that I gotta be careful now, because apparently there's some rumors going around it's going to happen again. Although it's not a rumor, we all know it's going to happen again anyway. But anyway. So career, guys. Now I might present you guys my next exhibit here. Exhibit B, my friends, the wage cage. So if you guys are not familiar with the Wagey Cagey 9000, now as you guys can see, we have our nice specimen here. It looks like he might have like an Amazon hat on. I'm not too sure. Those are tears of joy in his eyes. Actually, those are tears of joy, and he's definitely not like clenching his teeth like this because he's stuck and trapped and hates it. Those are tears of joy, right? And this is essentially a what can we say? This is a artistic rendition of the current state of modern employment. So to improve worker productivity, with the patented wage cage trademark, no more wasted time on the job. A wireless connection to deliver job orders. They have an emergency bathroom light. It's often ignored. And the job instruction and corporate propaganda screen cannot be turned off. As you guys can see, the job instruction and corporate propaganda screen is right there in front of good old Wojak's face. He has a controller stick. That's how he moves around. He has a flat metal bench seat because we can't have Wojak comfortable on the job, right? If he's comfortable on the job, he might like snooze off for 5 minutes, and that would be unproductive for the company trademark. We have a product grabbing arm, so he can grab products from elsewhere if he needs it. A piss soaked floor, because who needs cleanliness? And safety legs to prevent collision with superior robot workers, because at this point in time, the AI superior robot workers are gonna, they're gonna take over. We got a reinforced cage frame, a razor wire wrapping, and a cage lock that can only be opened by a foreman. Now, obviously, guys, this is a joke, right? This is more along the lines of like you are like a corporate slave and you have to go into a cubicle, or even you're working at the Amazon office or whatever. But the sad majority out there is most of these type of jobs are the ones that people you don't really need any kind of qualifications for. You don't need to know how to do anything specific. You don't need any kind of degree, anything else. And thus ends up being a majority of people working these jobs, because the majority of people are under or non-qualified. And thus the wagey joke, right? RIP, FNF demonetized. Basically, the channel got effed once they brought on schmucks like Fuentes and Circle. I think Circus funny. Is this patented? I don't know. It better be, dude. It better be. Forbes article. Forbes verified article says that it is spacious and comfortable. Yes, Forbes verified article that it is spacious and comfortable indeed. So where can I start about this? I've talked about this a lot on my channel for like years now, right? Some of the first live streams I did when I moved here into Miami were kind of about the lies that we were sold. A lot of people were sold about, just be a loyal employee, bro. Trademark. Just try hard for the company. Trademark. Just stay at the same job for forever. Trademark. They're going to give you a raise more than 1%. Haha. When statistically speaking, if you are, let's just say you work in a field like our favorite field in this channel. If you work in tech, let's say you're a software engineer, you have a specific skill set. Majority of people on the planet do not have this skill set. And a majority of people need software engineers to write software. Everything on software is written by software engineers, except for, all the stuff written by ChatGPT. But anyway, aside from that, You have a particular skill set and you have enough to, you're a knowledge worker, right? You're paid more so by your knowledge than the amount of time that you're working. And if you start out making 70, 80, let's say you start out making 100K, all right? You say that same company that it is only to the company's, and you have to understand this, guys. This is something you got to understand. Companies are an entity. Companies are like a thing. They're like, I want to say they're a living, breathing thing. They're not living, breathing, but you guys get the point, right? You can't get upset at the company doing what is best for the company. And what's best for the company, monetary, in a monetary sense, longevity speaking, is to give you the little amount of money as possible while expecting you to continue to do more work. So they're not going to give you $20, $30, $45,000 bumps in pay every single year until you're at the 200K, 250K peak mark, right? No. If you say that your first 10 years, I think this, your first 10 years as an employee in any field, regardless of whether it's tech or not, your first 10 years are opportunity for you. You should be bouncing around from place to place, and maybe not bouncing around, but you should be continually trying to monkey branch. You should take the female imperative and try to monkey branch to something better. Because those first 10 years, it's less frowned upon to see that you've gone from one job to the next. I mean, if someone asks you in an interview, why did you change companies 3 years in a row? And you tell them, well, an opportunity presented itself and it was a lot higher pay, a better quality of life for me and my family, and also a maybe a more fun project to work on or expansion of my skill set. Like, they can't argue with that. You know, they might think you're not a good wage cage member, but they can't argue with that, right? Now, if you do that for 40 years straight, well, you're never going to have any sort of you're never going to have any kind of nest egg to sit on, right? At that point, you're just unstable. But simple stuff like that is it held true for the boomers. It does not hold true anymore, and I'm going to think that it's going to be even less true. Probably, I mean, it's like getting worse and worse every single year. Do you see Terry Crews' Amazon hiring video? I think I did. That was like a year or two ago, right? The thing is, he forgot to mention in the video that they were going to lay everybody off right after. God. So not only does the specific type of job that you have, I mean, okay, I will say this. So right now, guys, I'm currently working a traditional job. I am working remote. So, I mean, it's as traditional as a software engineer can get. And it's a very good paying job, with from a very big name place. Okay. And it's a good job. I love it. But I can tell you what, I don't know if you guys remember, like about 2 years ago, I had quit my 9-to-5 job to pursue basically doing this and running developer direction, the YouTube, and another business. And I made more money in that year than I had any other years alone from just working a traditional job. I had my free time balance was a little skewed because I was doing way more work. But honestly, if I chose not to do this much work, it would have been just fine. So the truth is, guys, unless you have a really solid career path, then all the diamonds and pearls and girls on your yacht, they're not coming from just being in a wage cage. Most likely, you can do it like that, but you have to be in a highly skilled career or a high paying career. You have to be able to make the right moves with your money and place it in certain places and have other strategic things going on with your money other than just money coming in from work. Okay. But with that being said, I think more and more traditional jobs like Mr. Wagey over here or Mr. Wojak are becoming eroded. I think a lot of that erosion was, like I said previously when I first started this topic, a lot of that erosion was kind of in people's face when the coof came down, right? And people who were like loyal employees trademark were, let go like they were nothing, like they were just, discarded in the trash, just human disposable waste, right? So to kind of wrap all this up, without having to overexert myself, another truth, or rather lie, that we're told from our friends, from everything. It's just people, you're brainwashed to do what? Go to college, get a degree, get a house, the white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera. And that's going to lead to happiness. And that's going to lead to financial freedom. It's going to lead to you having a nice little family. Now, is that all 100% true? It was, but I don't think it's very true anymore. Now, on to the next topic, my friends, that I would like to smoothly transition into, since we just discussed going to school. Another thing that I believe is a vast tragedy and a lie that we are all sold and weren't told the truth on, and that we all happen to potentially be brainwashed on, is education. Now, everything I've talked about so far, guys, they all coincide with each other, right? The disruption and the absurd cost of college, that has, believe it or not, guys, and that has trickled down into the career, like I just talked about, into dating, like I talked about before that, and into family, like I talked about before that. All these things connect and coincide with each other, whether you realize it or not, whether I point it out to you guys or not. They will coincide with each other. And if you don't already understand, get this ad thing out of here. You will eventually. So let's look at the college tuition growth over the last 20 years. Give us some charts right here. All right. This is good grief. I mean, private, out-of-state, and in-state have all like gone up absorbently, right? Especially private school like costs. That's absurd, right? And I know I've done numbers on cost of college before, guys, and the numbers are usually like, it seems like the numbers that are on for statistics online are vastly underreported, right? Like they always have to leave out the fact that you need money to pay for rent and living expenses and all this other stuff. That's why you have to have all these exorbitant loans, other than just like the 50 to 100 grand it's going to cost you for tuition. Now, not only is the cost gone up on college, let me ask you this, guys. Let me ask you this. Let's take a look at this private. So 2003, $19,000 to $44,000. That's more than double. Do you guys think that the cost to benefit ratio from the result of getting said degree is doubled now? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's actually probably cut in half. So in actuality, your cost to benefit ratio is actually like fourth. It's literally cut. It's quartered out now. What else does college cost you? It costs you time, and I've already harped on all this stuff on many other streams. I don't think I'm going to have to reharp on it. But one of the biggest things I think is like all it does is perpetually keep people as perpetual children. It stops people from being able to actually have to say, oh, like I have to look at my future in front of my face now and deal with what I'm dealt and use my hands to make the best of it that I can. No, I gotta go back to school. I gotta do more. I gotta get more debt. I gotta get more degrees so I can possibly get another job that's going to pay me $10,000 a year more. But the only thing that I think necessitates a college degree anymore is something like a doctor, because like I most certainly don't want people like performing surgery on me that haven't like had extensive education in it. But even then, guys, I have one of my childhood friends is a doctor. He finally finished med school, and right now he's making like 40 or 50 grand a year with his internship or whatever it is, right? Because of the cost of college, like I think he's like well over 200 grand in student loans. The guy, it will benefit him by the time he's like 45 or 50, right? It most certainly will. And I'm sure he'll be living a ball in life, but he will even tell you, like, he doesn't even have a car. He can't even afford a car right now. Literally, he can't afford a car. He's driving one of his parents' cars. So like, is the cost to benefit ratio even worth it? If you include, especially if you just include the time alone, I'm going to say no. Essential workers, trademark. Yep. Yes, indeed. Sam Perchinsky in the house. Great topic. What up, dude? Thank you very much. Cody says, I will say, though, most kids spend their student loans like retards and rack up 6 figures in debt. Yeah. Of course. I mean, that's part of the plan, my friend. That's part of the plan. That's what they want people to do, dude. They want people to be perpetual children. They don't want people to have to establish anything in life. Just keep on paying money And then you can just say you're a student, and then you don't have to worry about having your own responsibilities, right? And then maybe, just maybe, after you get that degree, you can get a job that pays you $5, $10, $20,000 a year more. It might take you like 10, 15, 20 years to pay off that loan that you have now, but you could always file for bankruptcy, right? Oh, wait, no, you can't. You can't file for bankruptcy with student loans because it's unsecured debt. It's like possibly the worst debt you could ever get. Let's say you get an expensive car and like you have a 5-year loan on it, and 3 years down the line, you're like, I don't want to pay for this anymore. Well, it's secured debt. You can sell it if you're not underwater on it, which you shouldn't be if you didn't like, well, I mean, honestly, 3 years in, you should not be underwater in a car. If you at least put like 5% down, you shouldn't be underwater in a car. Oh, I need to go to NYU and spend $5K a month on my luxury condo while I study underwater basket weaving. Yeah, exactly. I know people who bought cars and computers with student loans. I believe it, dude. I believe it. I know somebody who used some of their student loan money to pay for a car, and the car got repoed. Yikes. I mean, shit happens, dude. Should people be doing dumb stuff as kids? And the tough part about this, guys, is like you don't want to like hate on people for like trying to do what they think is like gonna elevate them in life. But most people that are doing that aren't thinking to themselves. They're just following a crowd. They're just looking and following like an aimless zombie. And what they end up doing is they end up actually just setting themselves back further. Part of the biggest reason I've been harping on this for forever is because like I know that I could have benefited probably. I still think I'd benefited from my education, but I think I could have benefited by starting to work prior to that. And that is why, I mean, young people from like DD who have done good, like Aurelian, like it just to not spread the word seems like an injustice if I'm being honest with you. And speaking of that, guys, hold on me 1 second here. Give me 1 segundo. My entire email list got nuked because I got a new phone number, guys, and I couldn't confirm. Is it doing this to me again? Don't do it. Don't do it to him. Select country. Good grief. Go ahead and verify me. Okay. So I actually, guys, I actually lost my entire email list, and that thing had been running for like a year since I had checked it, and I had like, God, I had so many emails on there. The link in the description below is not the current sign up list for DD, and if you go to the DD website, it's going to sign you up for the old list. I got to make that change probably sometime this week. If you guys do want to sign up for the developer direction mail list, I posted in the live chat. There's a link. Feel free to sign up for it or not. But people like Aurelian have gone through. I mean, I'll stop using people for example. Okay, I'll stop fluffing myself up here. You do not have to enslave yourself, and you don't have to metaphorically wear the mask just because society tells you to. You can take off the mask, and if you breathe the fresh mountain air, it's actually quite nice. It's actually indeed quite nice. All right, so I don't want to talk about education anymore. I want to get on to the next topic, and this is something that I'm quite guilty of myself at times, but that is consumerism. And I think consumerism ties in everything that I talked about so far, just like everything else has, okay? All of the aforementioned topics that we discussed that people are brainwashed over are all driven now, I believe, primarily by consumerism. Consumerism only exists. We only have the privilege for consumerism to exist due to the egregious effects of post-industrial revolution society. It is what it is, guys. I do not know anybody who like is like, hey, no, like I know like maybe one person. I know a couple. I know a married couple that like, yeah, we just want to be a good married couple and have kids, but they also do other stuff. They have jet skis and stuff. Like they live in the 3-dimensional realm, and it's okay. All right. It's okay to want to buy things, but most people nowadays, guys, they're only driven by consuming things. especially in the West. So let me pull something up for you guys. I'm not going to watch a whole documentary. We can't do that. We cannot do that. Talk about the environment, which, I mean, it's bad for the environment too, but where's the... Okay. Here we go. Here's my guy. All right, 1 second, guys. 1 second here, my friends. You guys might know who this is. He's interviewed quite a good bit of people. You guys are familiar with London Real.
About status and snobbery and how, again, I think you show these kind of cognitive biases that we're living. And when you talk about this stuff, a lot of people say, oh yeah, maybe that's why I'm doing that. What do you see?
I mean, look, the first question we're likely to encounter in a new meeting with somebody is, what do you do? And according to how you answer that question, you'll either be, praised and become a subject of interest, or you'll be left alone by the peanuts. And this suggests to me that we live in a world of snobs. And a snob is really anyone who takes a small part of you and uses that to come to a universal and rigid sense of who you are and how much you matter. And the kind of snobbery that is dominant in the world today is not around bloodlines or lineage or your closeness to the Queen of England as it used to be, but what job you have, and in particular, how impressive your powers of financial accumulation are. And according to that criteria, people will judge you immediately. So it's sometimes said that we live in a materialistic world. I don't think we do live in a materialistic world. We simply live in a world where material accumulation has become the gateway to the respect and love that we all crave. It's not really the riches and the fast cars, etc., that we crave. It's the honor and love, if you like, that they are a conduit to, that they are perhaps the only conduit to. And that's a different way of looking at so-called greed. The next time you walk down the road and you see somebody driving a Ferrari, don't think this is somebody who's greedy, who's materialistic. Think first and foremost, this is somebody with an incredibly intense need for love, who has not been able to find the honor and respect they need in normal ways. And therefore, they're needing so much more.
I can say that. I can vouch that for myself. Everything is for clout. Yeah, it's true. Like, guys, I remember before I moved to Miami, like the thought of buying this like Rolex that I saw that was like, I don't know, $8,000 or $9,000. It was like a cheaper Rolex. That was like mind boggling to me. At the time, like I had a good job. I was making 6 figures. I also had rental income, but because of my bills and the destruction that was caused in the last prior several years of my life to that, I was like, I would have to save up for like a whole year to afford that. And then inevitably a year later, I ended up getting my first Rolex, which is it wasn't a Submariner. It is you know what? I'll play this. I don't even know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's a Sea Dweller. Hold on.
Stuff in order to feel they have the right to exist. If you can deal with just riding a bike through town, and that's okay, something's gone right in your past. If you're a parent and your child has no ambition to become famous, you're doing something right, because that means that person is able to deal with being them without too much other stuff.
And a lot of these things are now magnified by social media.
I still heard what they said. All right, so this is a Sea Dweller. It's a Sea Dweller. It's a red line. It's real. You guys can see it's not charged up. It's not wound up. Can I even focus on that? All right. When I got this thing, guys, like the year before, I didn't think I could even get it. And this was like along with a couple other things that I had acquired in that year, I thought was going to make me a happier person. Now, do I really like and appreciate this watch? Yes, of course I do. One of the biggest things I think that is underestimated about like having good watches is obviously it's going to give you clout, right? And if you're in like a city like Miami, people are going to, it can open doors for you in social situations. You can get into Tom Ford without an appointment, right? If you just go up to the door and you look at your arm or whatever, it can attract predatory women. But the good thing about it is just like, it's kind of like a savings account. And if an emergency, if you ever need it for something, you could sell it. I'm going to give it to my son. I'm going to tell him that when he turns 21. I actually should probably wait till he graduates college because he might be a fuck ass. But I thought that buying this would make me feel less empty inside from other things that I was looking to get in my life that I didn't have. And when I got the watch, I think I spent like $17,000 on this watch. When I got the watch, I felt like a surge of endorphins and dopamine, and then I cried. I literally sat in my car and cried. I cried not because I got the watch. I cried because I was so proud of myself for getting it. And then I drove home. As soon as I drove home, I was like, well, what's next? What else am I going to get that's next? Right? What else? And what this guy is, my point is saying, what this guy is saying is true. I ended up finding that the road and the journey to doing things like that for myself was way more enjoyable and taught me a lot more than the act of actually buying and consuming something that I thought was going to make me feel more whole inside or less empty. And I know that sounds really fucking cheesy, but it's true. It really is. Cody says, I was thinking about this when it comes to the car scene today. Nobody builds anything anymore. It's just buy a new, look cool on Insta. I am also guilty of that, right? I'm also guilty of that. I mean, the Bronco, the Raptor, very fun vehicles though, I will say. But I would like to build something, dude. I don't necessarily have the dwelling place to do it, but that is true. Cody, I know you can contest this. I guarantee you, like, I might be the only person that owns a Raptor in Miami that actually uses it for stuff and goes off-roading. I don't think anybody will probably doesn't do that. They probably don't have a single, they probably have no moon dust on the frame, my friend, no moon dust at all. And that's because, well, it's just for clout and consumerism in our consumerist society.
And you never finished where you were going to go with the Americans as well. So we got to get back to that. But I mean,
tell us about the Americans.
Do you see this stuff getting worse? What do you see social media doing to these things you're talking about?
Look, I think one of the most beautiful but also dangerous ideas, it's an American idea, is the notion that anyone can achieve anything, right? And we hear these messages from everywhere. That is the spirit of our times. It's a beautiful message, but it's a dangerous message. Because if you really believe in a world where you can do anything, and you've only done a bit, you've only done something, my goodness, how crushed you will feel. The possibilities for humiliation are so much greater now. You know, if you go to an American bookshop and you look at the self-help section, there are basically two kinds of books on that shelf. The first kind is books telling you how to make $1 million in an afternoon. And the other books are books telling you how to cope with what they call low self-esteem. And the two are totally related. If you live in a culture that's telling you how to make $1 million in an afternoon, you're going to have a massive self-esteem problem. Because how can you achieve esteem of yourself when you're going to be part of the 99%, not the 1%?
That's a good point, and that's true. And look, guys, listen. There is especially if you're a dude. Like, I find that most men that I have interacted with in my life and myself are at their happiest not when they're just floating along doing the same thing. They're at their happiness when they're building something, when they have something to work on. Like Cody's previous comment, literally building a vehicle, building a business, building a program that you're writing with software, building a certain type of lifestyle. Maybe you have a goal to get $1 million, and like, there's nothing wrong with that goal at all. Everybody should strive to have specific goals and hit markers and do all those things, especially if you're a man, right? But the truth is, and I can say this with 100% honesty, and my parents will even tell you this too. There hasn't been a single thing in my life that I've tried to get and achieve or learn how to do or get good at that I haven't been able to do. Because I'm obsessive. I'm an all or nothing person. And I've achieved a lot of things. I'm not the greatest person ever. Trust me, I'm far from it, okay? But I have achieved a lot of things in life that have taken a lot of time, effort, energy, blood, sweat, tears. And through the course of my life, every time I get those things, I'm like, okay, what's next? And I kept trying to fill this hole I guess metaphorically, but I've come to find, guys, that in actuality, the act of building, the act of progressing, the act of working towards something is like way more fun, way more fulfilling. You learn a lot more. Just everything about it is just, that is where you're going to get the true happiness, and as cheesy as it sounds, in the journey, and not in so much the end of the road. Because you come to find, once that journey is over, you're already looking for the next road to go on. You're looking for the next journey. I'm working on ceramic coating more in my car right now, literally, except for spell checking, Max. Yeah. Well, that's something I've never been good at, and I have no desire to be good at spelling. I cannot spell, Max. You know that. But Max, do you remember when we had the presentation for the Masculine Empower Network for it wasn't even called Develop Direction at the time. It was called I was still called Eat Live Program, right? And like literally like within the 24 hours before that presentation, you and me pieced together that fucking website and all the little like quirks and everything on it, like even up to the point to where I was giving the presentation and you were fixing stuff on the front end and everything. That was fun. Those were fun times. It was way more fun than the first time that I did like a $15,000 course launch. Like that was way more fun than the act of collecting money from it. 100%. Times like that are what's important. And this consumeristic society is like, it deters away from that, because a lot of people will get things via means of, and I've been guilty of this myself too. A lot of people get things they don't necessarily earn or deserve before they actually get the act of getting it itself, right? Like, an easy fix would say, like, let's just say, I didn't do this, but let's say you really want to have like a financial goal, and you need to make like $20,000, something like that. Okay, well, I mean, it's really, you could just do that one night if you just go rob a bank, right? However, the easiest way out usually isn't the best way out, right? And karma always comes to get you. Negative repercussions come after the fact, not just in the sense that like you're going to go to jail if you rob a bank, but you're harming yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You're just pushing all that stuff back up for more cobwebs underneath your issues of life. Bullis says building games is when I feel most alive, even when it makes me lose my hair. Build some more games then, dude. Yes, it was indeed. Maybe the real clout is the friends we made along their way. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, a lot of you guys, 2 or 3 of you guys in the chat right now, like friends I've had from day one of that journey, still here. And, if I lost all that, if I lost my measly YouTube channel, which almost has 1,000 subscribers, I'd still have you guys. And I'd have all the lessons that I learned throughout all of it. I mean, I learned a lot with that, like learned even with like business, like that's the most important part. And that is the part that you will not achieve from consuming. All right, folks, I think that's enough. I will do another stream on Wednesday, and it'll be on another juicy topic. I love you all. See ya.